Hi ladies and gentlemen, this is Game of Trades and this is going to be a technical analysis of the S&P 500. So we're going to start by taking a look at the hourly chart. We're going to see where the S&P 500 may be heading today. This is actually a video before the market open. So I'm pretty much going to do a summary of how I'm going to be looking at the charts today. And that's why we're really going into the short-term time frame today, because to be honest, in the daily chart, nothing much has changed since my last video. So it's more important to pinpoint exactly what's going on in the shorter term charts to be able to trade perhaps on a multi-day trade. So you can see we have this uptrend line dating back to a couple weeks right here to end of. So you can see we have this uptrend line here dating back to a couple weeks. We have multiple reactions on it. You can see right here, and we actually dipped below it, and this was actually one of my first trades on this uptrend. You know, I saw this break of trend line. I expected it to go further down, but unfortunately it did not. So you know, the trade got stopped out right here, just above the all-time high, and we actually started going a little bit higher, and we actually ended up back above the uptrend line. So this market is actually extremely bullish right now. So you know, being in a short position is, you know, risky to say the least. So you have to really be tight with your stops and do not keep losing positions. You know, cut your losses short and let your winners run. That's one of the most important technical analysis quotes that you have to keep in mind. So right now we do have a slight break of this trend line, of this uptrend line right here, and we had this minor uptrend line. When we dipped, we started forming this uptrend line, and we actually broke this one too. So you know, we've got two breaks of trend line, and we also have divergence on the RSI here with two overbought readings. You can see that this high corresponds to this one, and this one to this one. You can see there's divergence. We're going higher on the chart and lower on the RSI, and both of those readings are actually overbought. So that's actually not a very good sign to keep on going higher. I expect more downside than I see potential upside. I think that you know, we've had a nice run. I think we're starting to get overbought on the weekly. We can go to the weekly chart to check that out. We are getting overbought on the weekly chart, so you know, just from that point of view, I do see objectively limited upside right now. Obviously, again, anything can happen in trading, and I'm not gonna say that's the be all and all. And if you know, we're overbought, there's no upside left. I mean, look at this here at the end of 2017. We had this huge run, and we were overbought for. We had the biggest overbought reading since you know, years and years. So you know, anything's possible, but it's, you know, technical analysis is always a question of probability. And when you've got an overbought reading, you know, the likelihood of it continuing on higher is slim, and it's risky to be bullish when you are overbought. So let's get back to the hourly chart. We've got a gap to fill right here, right under, so that would definitely be the first short-term target. And I'd say that this is actually, you know, if you're trading on the daily chart, this is actually a pretty good level as a sell signal. So I wouldn't say the break of trend line is a sell signal right now. I think we've had a break of that trend line, and that turned out to be a false breakdown. So I'm not gonna go ahead and say this is it, and we're gonna go all the way down. But I think if we start, you know, accelerating some sell signals and going below this gap, if we don't reverse after the gap fill, then we could start seeing some more downside, and that would be, this would be the first target on the longer term here, this 3070 level. And then for the next final target, that would be the previous all-time high right here at 3,024. So that could be a nice little trade. Um, that's what I see in the markets right now. I see little upside opportunities in the short term. I mean, obviously, if we start going down here, I'm going to change my mind, and we could start exposing some bullish investments a little bit more. But right now, that's my view on it. Let's check out the daily chart and see what's going on here. So in the daily chart, it's getting pretty interesting. We're starting to build some divergence both on the MACD and the RSI. And when you have divergence on the daily chart, it does imply some longer term bearish outlook. And we do right now have divergence on both the RSI, and we have two overbought readings just like on the hourly chart right here. The combination of divergence and overbought readings is not a very good sign for the bullish outlook, at least in my experience. And all of this may seem quite simple, and that's part of the game of trades, trading strategy, and that's really to keep things simple. And in my experience trading, I think the simpler the strategy, the easier it is to make some profits, and the easier it is to keep your mind straight about the outlook, the potential of the trade. And going back to the MACD, we do also have divergence. I'm going to make that a little bit bigger here. But we do have divergence on the MACD right here. And the last time that happened, you can take a look right here. This was a divergence on the MACD, very similar divergence to the one we have right now. Both highs are quite at a high reading on the MACD, and you can see that it extended for a little bit longer, but it did end up correcting and resulting in a pretty nice trade. So this is actually the typical kind of profit you can make off a counter rally, a counter correction. And if you take a look at how it went up and how it came down, you'll quickly realize that there's a lot more opportunity to the short side in terms of time. I'm going to show you what I mean right here. You can see that from the same level, it took 80 days to get to the top, 80 days of grinding slowly all the way up to the top. And in terms of downside, from the same point all the way to the same price level to the downside, it took 33 days. So, that's less than half the amount of time for the same amount of profit. So, it is worth the patience waiting for that kind of trade to play out. It can seem frustrating at times, waiting for the sell signal, some trades not playing out, having false breakdowns. But, if you keep on always limiting your stop losses, always cut your losses, and eventually you'll get that trade that gets you the profit that makes up for everything in the end. So that's the patience is key in divergence trading, and that's one thing that I probably don't say enough, and that's really part of the trading strategy that I'm trying to show you guys, and that is waiting for the right moment and the right time to go all in and let your winners run and go all the way to that final target and potentially lower. If we start breaking down, we'll already have a short position to the downside, and we can raise our stops and have a stop loss here and follow the momentum all the way down. And that's the beauty of technical analysis, is that you can raise your stops or lower your stops along the way, and book profits and eventually continue down with it if this ends up being more than just a correction back to the previous all-time highs to backtest. If it ends up being a full-on stock market crash, you'll be able to to lower your stops along the way and make profits. So that is about all I wanted to say in this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a comment below if you have something to say about the video. Don't hesitate, I always read the comments. And in the meantime, good luck and see you next time.